Forest Lawn has many locations. They have locations in the Hollywood Hills, in Cypress, and Covina Hills, in Long Beach, Arcadia, City of Industry, Cathedral City, Coachella, Indio. But we're here at Glendale. Glendale is one of the biggest cemeteries I've ever been in my life. It's like the amusement park of cemeteries. This place has an art gallery. It has a museum. It has several churches and cathedral type churches. It's stained glass. It has a picture of the Last Supper. It has the huge image of the Virgin of Guadalupe. It'll take you a whole day, and it's all free. Some of the notable people that you can find in here are Clark Gable, Carole Lombard, Frank Baum, the guy that created The Wizard of Oz, Jimmy Stewart, Humphrey Bogart's in here, Mary Pickford, Errol Flynn, Spencer Tracy, George Burns and Gracie Allen are in here. But we're in here, you know why we're in here. We're in here for the Manson story. And every place has a Manson story. And this place has a Manson story as well. One of the first places we're going to be going to is up the hill into a church where the last rites were held for J. Sebring. That's our first stop. And then we're going to tell you about some of the other people that are buried here that are connected with the Manson story in a way, because there's several people in here that are sort of, in one way or another, they're connected to the Manson story. And we're going to talk about them a little bit too as we walk around here at Forest Lawn in Glendale. Wednesday, August the 13th, 1969. The day Vince Bugliosi in the book Helter Skelter called the day of the funerals. It was the day that Sharon Tate was laid to rest in the morning, Stephen Parent in the afternoon, and also J. Sebring over here where we are today at Forest Lawn in Glendale had his last rites and his funeral services for the people here in Los Angeles to attend here at the Wee Kirk O'Heather Church, Forest Lawn. In the book Helter Skelter, it has among the people that attended Sharon Tate's funeral were Kirk Douglas, Warren Beatty, James Colburn, Lee Marvin, Yul Brynner, Peter Sellers, John and Michelle Phillips, and Steve McQueen. Well, that's been contradicted over time. It says Steve McQueen never showed up, even though that they were at one time acquainted with each other. Steve and Sharon dated at one point. Steve McQueen did not show up at Sharon Tate's funeral, but he did show up here at the Wee Kirk, and it said when he came here that he had a gun. He was pretty much, what sources say, pretty much scared for his life at that point. And he did speak at Jay's funeral that day. And as well as some other the celebrities that attended over here that day were Paul Newman, Henry and Peter Fonda, Alex Cord, George Hamill. They were some of Jay's clients. People that are connected in some sort of way to this Manson story are also in Helter Skelter. One of the people who's buried here is Jean Harlow. And here's what was written about Jean Harlow in Helter Skelter. He was born Thomas John Coomer in Detroit, Michigan. He had changed his name to J. Sebring shortly after arriving in Hollywood, following a 4-year stint as a Navy barber, borrowing the name from the famous sports car race because he liked the image it projected. In his personal life, as in his work, appearances were all important. He drove an expensive sports car, frequented in clubs, even had his Levi's jacket custom made. He employed a full-time butler, gave lavish parties, and lived in a jinxed mansion at 9860 Easton Drive, Benedict Canyon. Once the love nest of actress Jean Harlow and producer Paul Byrne. It was here in Harlow's bedroom that Byrne had committed suicide 2 months after their marriage. According to acquaintances, Sebring had bought the house because of its far-out reputation. Steve McQueen at one point had a relationship with Sharon Tate, but he didn't go to her funeral. although it says that he did go to her funeral in Helter Skelter, it's been disputed after the fact, and we know now that he didn't show up there. But he did come over here to Forest Lawn in Glendale to Jay Sebring's funeral, and he gave a short eulogy at Jay's funeral here. Before, Jay's not buried over here at Forest Lawn, but this is the spot right here at the Weekirk O'Heather Church at Forest Lawn in Glendale where they had the funeral of Jay Sebring before they shipped him off to Michigan, where he's buried. In Nellie Adams' book, My Husband, My Friend, she said Sebring is the one that supplied Steve McQueen with the drugs. And then Vince Bugliosi said in Helter Skelter, on hearing of the deaths, actor Steve McQueen, a longtime friend of Jay Sebring, suggested the hairstylist's home should be rid of narcotics to protect the family and business. Though Steve McQueen did not himself participate in the house cleaning, by the time the LAPD got around to searching Sebring's residence,
so right out here.
Anything embarrassing had been removed.
They were standing on the grass there, and they were all walking by.
Yeah, you know what? I have that footage at home. I'll have to blend that in
I
here.
think you can see Henry Fonda. I can't remember what they were. This is a Catholic church and Jay was a Jew.
Say what?
I said, I think this is a Catholic church and Jay was Jewish.
Oh,
This doesn't matter.
no. It's pretty.
Oh, coffin.
Yeah, there's somebody's in there dead. That's probably why the doors are closed. Gotta use the restroom? There it is again. It's California.
I think he was cremated here. His ashes were taken back to Colorado. I thought they had a service here too.
Battery. Yeah, they were. It looks different on film, though. It makes it kind of looks like a secluded little place all by itself, you know?
Yes, it does. I can't remember.
This little area here, I think it is. I think it was all grass here, wasn't it?
Not really was at all. I was thinking about that guardrail there, though. I don't know. It seems like there was hedges instead of grass, but I don't know.
Him too. He has like a relationship. He did have a love milk at house.
Museum.
Better not get hit here.
Must be a cop dead up here. Oh, cops up here. There's somebody stealing a cop.
This looks more like the Sebring funeral, but was it let's go over the museum. Oh wait. Okay, we're at the top. Do you know bugs?
No, what is it? But it's here in the Garden of Contemplation, number G95, lot 1447, and crypt number 1 is where we're headed now. Helter Skelter. Vincent Bugliosi.
Very cool. Nice job. Nice job.
Vincent T. What was his middle name? Tyrannosaurus Rex?
Yeah. Tony? No. I don't know. Thomas?
Vincent Bugliosi. I got his autograph. We met him 3 times.
You sure did.
And now I'm getting his autograph again. Same dude that gave Manson the death penalty, and Manson's still alive, and Bugliosi's dead. Bugliosi really never had a nice word to say about Manson, but Manson he never really was that hard on Bugliosi, you know? But Bugliosi always made it a point to say, oh, Manson, that's the guy that evil was created for. Everything was always about how evil Manson was. Never gave the guy a break, ever. But I never heard Manson say that shit about him. He would say things about him, but not like Bugliosi was the most evilest man ever.
I think he called him the DA. Well, that was the DA's trip. But
Yeah.
I don't know if he was talking about bugs or...
That's him. This place is hard to find.
No doubt.
Man. never found it because I'd have never had a phone. Oh, and I had the directions though. I would have found it. I just wouldn't.
You'd have found it.
I just wouldn't have found anything else.
I just figured it was in here because it looks kind of like very expensive pot.
Yeah, Manson paid for it.
Sure did. He made this guy rich.
Charlie Manson paid for some of this. Maybe.
A lot.
Maybe some of his other books were good too. Our much loved husband, father, and was both forever enshrined him in the rarefied pantheons of greats. Isn't that fucking? That's like, you know, he had something to do with that.
He had to write his own.
Wrote it.
Wrote his own epitaph.
It, it's like it's in his pocket right now. Rarefied.
Yeah.
That's a word like Bugliosi would use. Rarefied.
Citified.
I'm a rarefied deer.
I'm citified.
He should have been by. They should have buried him by Dragnet.
Yeah.
Who was the part? There was a television series that was I think it was called the DA, and the part was it was portrayed after Bugliosi.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Do you know which one played him, like E.G. Marshall or
Some
something?
dude with blonde hair, I believe, wasn't it?
Okay.
I don't know.
Wow. Very nice.
He was born on August 18th. June the 6th of last year.
Well, for some reason, I thought he died this year. My, how time flies, huh?
Yeah, it sure does, doesn't it? I'm 51 now.
Number one, every one of these Manson family members, all the girls, all the killers, had already dropped out of society before they met Charles Manson. So he had the raw material to work with, okay? Now, with that raw material, Manson used several techniques to gain control over these people, some of which have been used by other cult leaders to gain control over their followers. One of them was to subvert their sexuality. A new girl joining the family, what would he do? He'd try to induce her to have sex with another girl, a boy with a boy. And it's pretty obvious what Manson was trying to do. He was trying to break down their ego and their pride. He also used drugs very effectively. Marijuana and LSD were the main drugs he used. Manson went on many LSD trips with his family, sometimes 2, 3, 4 a week, either taking no LSD himself or a smaller dosage than they would to retain more control over his mental faculties. While they were on these trips, he would dig down deep into their psyche and try to remove their long-standing convictions on life. If I were to single out the most important way that he got control over these people, it was simply preaching to his family on a day-to-day basis in an isolated setting. The isolation of the setting is very, very important. Most of the preaching took place at night. He'd sit alone on top of a rock, and they'd have their vegetarian dinner. All the members of the family would sit in a circle around him. No newspapers, no calendars, no clocks. So it's a timeless existence in this isolated setting, and all they're getting day after day is a steady bombardment of Manson's perverse philosophy on life. He was reprogramming them to be his slaves and his followers. He also got a little sophisticated. He would tell them that these people whom they were killing, he said, don't look upon them as being decent human beings. Look upon them as being symbols of a sick society that could only be cured by a violent revolution. The most important factor, not technique, but the most important factor was the power and the evil genius of Charles Manson. Manson was able to detect weaknesses and fears in people and exploit those weaknesses and fears. He would give anyone what they were looking for. If they were looking for a father figure, he was their father. If they were looking for Jesus, he was their Jesus. By his own admission, he said, I'm a man of 1,000 faces. He was like a chameleon, constantly changing to fit the occasion or the person to whom he was talking. He's not insane at all. You cannot confuse his being morally bizarre, tainted, twisted. You cannot confuse that with insanity. He knew exactly what he was doing. He had not lost contact with reality. He's able to distinguish and assess his weaknesses and his fears. He's not crazy at all. He's very evil. He's a very evil, sophisticated con man, but he's not insane at all. He knows exactly what he's doing.
I told you in 1969, surrender, submit, give it up. How in the hell could I send somebody here? You go kill the President of the United States. You do it now.